The bright lab lights hurt Jiwoo's eyes as she bent over her microscope. It was late, and she was the only one still working. This was how she liked it best. No one to watch her. No one to mock her. Jiwoo pushed her dark hair behind her ears and sighed. 3 months on the Celestial Pioneer and still no one took her seriously. Not even a little bit. Humans still playing with toys. A deep voice boomed from the doorway. Jiwoo stiffened but didn't look up. She knew that voice. Draz, the Vraxian chief science officer. 8 feet tall with blue skin that looked like rock, 4 arms, and a mean streak wider than Earth's oceans. "Working, sir," she said quietly. "Just finishing the tests on the Zenith 6 samples." Draz stomped into the lab, his heavy footsteps making the delicate equipment shake. He leaned over her shoulder, so close she could smell the weird spice scent of his breath. "Waste of time," he rumbled. "Waste of lab space. Waste of human." Jiwoo kept her eyes on her work. Getting angry wouldn't help. It never did. "The data will be ready for tomorrow's meeting," she said. Draz laughed. The sound hurt her ears. "Why Captain Han keeps you on ship? I don't understand. Humans too weak for real science. Bones break like twigs. Minds simple like child." He picked up one of her sample tubes between 2 massive fingers. "Even your DNA is messy. Primitive." He dropped the tube back onto the rack with a snap that made Jiwoo wince. It didn't break, thankfully. "I'll finish my work, sir," she said. Draz grunted and walked out, knocking over a stack of her notes as he left. On purpose, of course. Jiwoo waited until his footsteps faded before she bent to pick up her papers. Her hands shook a little. Not from fear. From anger. "Need help with that?" Another voice, gentler but still deep. Jiwoo looked up to see Taiho Park, one of the few other humans on board. He was tall for a human, with broad shoulders and a serious face. As the ship's security officer, he kept to himself most of the time. "I've got it," she said, gathering the last of her notes. Taiho nodded. "I saw Draz leave. He giving you trouble again?" "Nothing new." Jiwoo stood up and put the papers on her desk. "Just the usual humans are weak talk." "He treats all humans like that," Taiho said. "Even Captain Han, though not to his face." Jiwoo smiled a little. "Captain Han might be human, but he has the whole Galactic coalition behind him. I'm just a scientist they had to take because of quota rules." Taiho leaned against the doorway. "That's not true. Your work on adaptive gene therapy is why you're here. Everyone knows that." "Everyone but the alien scientists, you mean?" Jiwoo turned back to her microscope. "It's fine. I'm used to it." "You shouldn't have to be," Taiho said simply. "Anyway, it's late. You should get some rest." Jiwoo nodded. "Just finishing up." After Taiho left, Jiwoo looked at the sample under her microscope again. What Draz and the others didn't know was that she had found something. Something in the samples from the new planet they had visited last week. Something that changed when it touched different DNA samples. And what it did to human DNA was very, very interesting. The next morning, the science team meeting went exactly as Jiwoo expected. She presented her findings, keeping the most exciting parts secret. And still, they laughed. "Human sees patterns where none exist," Draz said, waving one of his 4 hands dismissively. "Brain too simple to understand complex genetic structures." The other alien scientists nodded. The Moraxian twins clicked their mandibles in what Jiwoo knew was their version of laughter. The Tunala scientists' head crest flattened in dismissal. Only Captain Han seemed interested. "Continue your research, Dr. Kim," he said. "Report directly to me with any findings." Draz's rocky face darkened. "Captain, waste of resources." "That will be all," Captain Han said firmly. "Next report." As Jiwoo gathered her notes, she felt Draz's eyes on her, cold and angry. She also noticed Taiho watching from his post by the door, his face unreadable. Neither of them knew what she had hidden in her private lab notes. Neither of them knew what she could do now. They thought humans were weak. They thought she was weak. Soon, they would learn how wrong they were. Late at night, when the ship grew quiet, Jiwoo finally had the lab to herself. This was when she did her best work. No one watching. No one judging. She slid her private sample case from its hiding spot beneath a loose floor panel. Inside were the special samples from planet Zenith 6 that she hadn't shown to anyone. Not Droz. Not even Captain Han. Under her microscope, the tiny organisms danced and shifted. They were like nothing she had ever seen before. When she put them near different DNA samples, they changed. They adapted. They improved whatever they touched. "What are you really?" she whispered to the microscopic life forms. "And what can you do with human DNA?" Jiwoo carefully placed a drop of her own blood on a slide and added a tiny bit of the organism. Through her microscope, she watched in amazement as the organisms surrounded her blood cells and began to merge with them. Her cells didn't die. They changed. She ran test after test until her eyes burned from tiredness. The results were always the same. The organism made human DNA stronger, more efficient, better. This could change everything, she said to herself as she carefully recorded her findings in her private notebook. This could help so many people. The next morning, Jiwoo could barely hide her excitement as she walked to the daily science meeting. She had prepared a careful presentation, showing only enough to prove her discovery was real. When her turn came, she stood up straight and spoke clearly. "I found something important in the Zenith 6 samples," she began. "A microorganism with adaptive properties that could revolutionize medicine." She showed her slides and explained her findings in simple terms. The alien scientists shifted in their seats. Some leaned forward with interest. Then Droz laughed. The sound boomed around the room. "Human imagination," he said, waving all four arms dismissively. "You see magic where there is only basic cellular activity." "It's not imagination," Jiwoo said, her voice stronger than usual. "I've run over 30 tests. The results are consistent." Droz stood up, towering over her. "Show me these organisms changing DNA structure right now." Jiwoo hesitated. She hadn't brought her private samples. She only had the regular ones that showed far less dramatic results. "I need to prepare the right conditions," she said. Droz turned to the other scientists. "You see," empty claims. "Human wants attention." The Moraxian twins clicked their mandibles in laughter. The Tunala scientist's head crest flattened in dismissal. Jiwoo felt her face grow hot. "If you give me a day to prepare." "Enough," Droz cut her off. "We have real science to discuss. Sit down." Captain Han frowned but said nothing. Jiwoo returned to her seat, hands shaking with anger. After the meeting, Taiho caught up with her in the hallway. "I believe you," he said quietly. Jiwoo looked up, surprised. "You do?" "You're too careful to make claims without proof," he said. "Droz knows it too. That's why he's worried." Jiwoo smiled slightly. "Thank you. Be careful," Taiho warned. "Droz has friends on this ship, and he doesn't like being challenged." That night, Jiwoo worked even later than usual. She set up a special test chamber and added different DNA samples: human, Vraxian, Moraxian, and Tunali, alongside the microorganisms. What she saw changed everything she thought she knew about DNA. The organisms bonded perfectly with human DNA, making it stronger, more resilient. But with the alien DNA, the results were different. The organisms tried to bond, but couldn't quite connect right. Instead, they broke down the alien genetic material. "That's strange," Jiwoo muttered, checking and rechecking her results. A noise at the lab door made her look up. She quickly covered her samples. Droz stood in the doorway, his rocky face unreadable in the dim light. "Still playing with your toys, human?" he asked, his voice dangerously soft. "Just finishing up," Jiwoo said, trying to sound normal. Droz stepped closer. I heard you speaking to Security Officer Park. You really think you found something special? Ji-woo gathered her courage. I know I did. Draws leaned down, his face inches from hers. Prove it. Ji-woo met his eyes steadily. Tomorrow. I'll have everything ready to show you tomorrow. Draws stared at her for a long moment, then straightened up. Tomorrow, then. Show us this miracle you claim to have found. He turned to leave, but looked back from the doorway. But if you waste our time with nothing, you'll wish you never left your weak little planet. After he left, Ji-woo let out a shaky breath. She looked at her samples again, at the alien DNA being broken down, while the human DNA grew stronger. This was bigger than she had realized. Maybe bigger than anyone was ready for. Before Ji-woo could finish preparing her demonstration for Draws, a loud alarm blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. All senior staff to the command deck, Captain Han's voice announced over the speakers. Emergency situation. Repeat, all senior staff to the command deck. Ji-woo quickly secured her samples and hurried to the command deck. She wasn't technically senior staff, but as the only human geneticist aboard, she knew they might need her. The command deck was filled with tense voices when she arrived. Captain Han stood at the center, his face grim. Draws and other alien officers crowded around a large screen showing a small research outpost on a distant moon. What's happening? Ji-woo asked Taiho, who stood near the door, his hand resting on his weapon. Distress call from Outpost 17, he said quietly. Some kind of medical emergency. They're not responding anymore. Captain Han noticed Ji-woo and gestured for her to join them. Dr. Kim, we need your expertise. Outpost 17 has reported a biological crisis. Their last transmission mentioned a fast-spreading pathogen. Ji-woo looked at the screen. Outpost 17 was a small research station with about 30 people, both human and alien scientists. What were they researching? She asked. Soil samples from the nearby moon, Captain Han said. Nothing dangerous, but something has gone very wrong. We are closest ship, Draws added. Must investigate. 6 hours later, the Asterisk Celestial Pioneer Asterisk arrived at Outpost 17. The station hung in orbit around a small rocky moon, looking peaceful from the outside. No response to our hails, the communications officer reported. Life signs? Captain Han asked. Some, the officer replied, but fewer than there should be. Captain Han turned to the room. We need a team to go aboard and assess the situation. Medical and security personnel only. A heavy silence fell over the command deck. Even Draws, usually so quick to speak, said nothing. I'll go, Ji-woo said, surprising herself. Everyone turned to look at her. You, Draws finally said. Weakest one here. I'm a geneticist, Ji-woo replied calmly. If this is a biological threat, I'm qualified to identify it. And she added, looking directly at Draws, humans have different DNA than most species here. If it's targeting specific genetic structures, I might be safer than others. Captain Han nodded slowly. Good point. Dr. Kim will lead the medical team. I'll go as security, Taiho volunteered. An hour later, Ji-woo and Taiho, along with one brave Tumali medic named Frel, boarded Outpost 17 wearing protective suits. The inside of the station was eerily quiet. The lights flickered, casting strange shadows on the walls. Life signs strongest that way, Vrel said, pointing toward the main lab. They moved carefully through the corridors. The first body they found was a Vraxian scientist, blue skin now gray, lying just outside a doorway. No visible wounds, Ji-woo said, kneeling to examine it. But look at the skin texture. It's breaking down somehow. They found more bodies as they continued, all non-human. In the main lab, they finally found survivors. 3 human researchers, looking scared but healthy. Thank goodness, a woman said, rushing toward them. I'm Dr. Yuna Lee. We thought everyone had forgotten about us. What happened here? Jiwoo asked, removing her helmet after confirming the air was safe. Dr. Lee's face darkened. 3 days ago, one of our Moraxian scientists collapsed. Then another. Soon all the non-human staff were sick. They didn't survive. But you're fine. Taiho asked. All the humans are, Dr. Lee said. Whatever this is, it only affects non-human DNA. Jiwoo felt a cold realization wash over her. She thought of her laboratory tests, of the organism that strengthened human DNA but broke down alien genetic material. I need to see your research, she said urgently. All of it. Dr. Lee led them to a secure lab where the remaining humans had barricaded themselves. Inside, Jiwoo saw exactly what she feared. Samples of the same microorganism she had been studying. Where did you get these? She demanded. They were in the soil samples from Zenith 6, Dr. Lee explained. We've been studying them for weeks. They have amazing adaptive properties. Jiwoo's mind raced. Did you test them with different DNA samples? Dr. Lee nodded. Yes, that was our latest experiment. But then everyone started getting sick and... She stopped, her eyes widening with understanding. You don't think... Vrel, who had been scanning the room, suddenly collapsed. His body began to convulse inside his suit. We need to get back to the ship. Now, Jiwoo said, her voice shaking. And we need to be very, very careful. Jiwoo and Taeho rushed back to the Celestial Pioneer with Vrel's shaking body between them. The 3 human scientists from the outpost followed closely behind, carrying sealed containers of research materials. Emergency medical team to docking bay. Taeho shouted into his comm unit. Officer down. When they reached the ship, medical staff in protective suits took Vrel away. Captain Han and Draz were waiting, their faces grim. What happened? Captain Han demanded. The pathogen attacks non-human DNA. Jiwoo explained quickly. All the aliens at the outpost are dead. Only humans survived. Draz's rocky face darkened. How convenient for humans. This isn't about species politics, Jiwoo snapped. We need to contain this before it spreads to the ship. Captain Han nodded. All returning personnel to quarantine. Dr. Kim, work with the outpost scientists to understand this pathogen. Sir, Jiwoo hesitated. I've seen this organism before. In our own Zenith 6 samples. Everyone stared at her. You knew about this killer. Draz growled, stepping toward her. No, Jiwoo backed away. I found similar organisms, but I didn't know they could become airborne or cause this kind of damage. All Zenith 6 samples must be secured, Captain Han ordered. And Dr. Kim, I want answers. Fast. 2 hours later, alarms blared throughout the ship again. Containment breach in Medbay 3, announced the ship's computer. Biohazard detected in air filtration system. Jiwoo looked up from her microscope in horror. Medbay 3 was where they had taken Vrel. It's spreading, she whispered. The next 3 hours were chaos. Non-human crew members began showing symptoms: skin deterioration for the Vraxians, respiratory distress for the Moraxians, nerve damage for the Tunali. The medical staff couldn't keep up. Captain Han called an emergency meeting with all department heads. Only 7 people attended. 4 humans, including Jiwoo, Taeho, and the captain himself. The other 3 were aliens who hadn't shown symptoms yet. The pathogen is spreading through the ventilation system, Jiwoo reported. We've sealed off critical areas, but it's only a matter of time before the entire ship is contaminated. How many sick? Captain Han asked. 42 confirmed cases, Jiwoo said. All non-human. One of the alien officers, a Vraxian lieutenant, slammed his fist on the table. This is human attack. First contact with pathogen was human outpost. Only humans immune. That's not true, Jiwoo argued. The organism originated on Zenith 6. The outpost scientists were studying it, just like we were. Lies, the Vraxian shouted. His skin was starting to show gray patches, early symptoms. Enough. Captain Han's voice cut through the argument. Fighting won't solve this. Dr. Kim, can you develop a cure? Jae-woo took a deep breath. Maybe. The microorganism bonds with DNA, changing its structure. In humans, it creates beneficial changes. In other species, it causes breakdown. Why difference? Asked the third alien, a Moraxian science officer. I think it's because the organism evolved in conditions similar to Earth, Jae-woo explained. Its molecular structure is compatible with human DNA but toxic to others. Can you reverse the process? Captain Han asked. Possibly, Jae-woo said, but I need time and resources. Suddenly, the ship rocked violently. Everyone grabbed the table to stay upright. What was that? Captain Han demanded. Tai-ho checked his comm unit. Explosion in engineering. Sir, we got reports of armed crew members in Section B. Non-humans. The Vraxian lieutenant stood up, drawing a weapon. No more talking. Humans caused this. Humans must pay. Tai-ho moved fast, tackling the lieutenant before he could fire. The other alien officers backed away, looking uncertain. This is mutiny, Captain Han said coldly. Stand down. Too late, the Vraxian hissed from the floor. Gray patches were spreading visibly across his face now. Draws has taken engineering. Ship will be ours soon. Captain Han turned to Jae-woo. How long to develop a cure? 24 hours, at least, she said. If I can work uninterrupted. You have 12, he replied grimly. After that, I don't think there will be a ship left to save. Jae-woo looked at Tai-ho, whose face was set in determination. I'll protect you, he promised, whatever it takes. As they rushed from the meeting room, another explosion rocked the ship. Through a viewport, Jae-woo saw escape pods launching into space. They're abandoning ship, she whispered, or spreading the pathogen to other stations, Tai-ho said darkly. We need to hurry. Jae-woo and Tai-ho raced through the corridors of the Celestial Pioneer *. Alarm lights flashed red, and the ship's computer kept repeating warnings about system failures. We need to get to my secondary lab, Jae-woo said, breathing hard as they ran. It has equipment I need. Too dangerous, Tai-ho replied, checking his weapon. Main science deck is where Draws will look for you first. Then where? Jae-woo asked, frustrated. Tai-ho pulled her down a side corridor. Medical Bay 6. It's small but has basic gene sequencing equipment. And it's in the human quarters section. They turned a corner and almost ran into 3 Vraxian crew members. Their blue skin was patchy with gray spots, and they carried makeshift weapons. Humans. One of them shouted, raising a metal pipe. Tai-ho pushed Jae-woo behind him and fired his stun weapon. 2 Vraxians dropped, but the third rushed forward. Tai-ho met him with a shoulder tackle that would have broken human bones. The Vraxian stumbled but didn't fall. Run, Tai-ho shouted to Jae-woo as he grappled with the alien. Jae-woo hesitated, then grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and swung it hard at the Vraxian's head. The alien crashed to the floor. Tai-ho stared at her in surprise. I'm not leaving you, Jae-woo said firmly. They continued to Medical Bay 6, encountering 2 more groups of sick, angry aliens. Each time, they managed to slip past or fight their way through. When they finally reached the small lab, Jae-woo locked the door and began setting up equipment. I need my samples, she said, connecting power to a gene sequencer. They're in my main lab. Too risky, Tai-ho shook his head. Draws will have taken over the science deck by now. Jae-woo slammed her hand on the table. Without those samples, I can't develop a cure. The organism is the key to everything. Tai-ho was quiet for a moment, then nodded. Tell me exactly where they are. I'll get them. No, Jae-woo said. We go together. Before Tai-ho could argue, Captain Han's voice came over their comm units. All human personnel, this is Captain Han. Draws has seized control of engineering and navigation. The ship is on a collision course with Coalition Station 9. This appears to be a suicide mission to spread the pathogen. Security teams are attempting to retake control. Jiwoo's face went pale. Coalition Station 9 has over 10,000 people on it. If the pathogen reaches there. Interspecies war, Taeho finished grimly. Jiwoo took a deep breath. We have to get to my lab. They moved carefully through the ship's service tunnels, avoiding the main corridors where fighting had broken out between human security teams and sick, desperate aliens. Why are they doing this? Jiwoo asked as they crawled through a narrow maintenance shaft. They must know this will only make things worse. They're dying, Taeho replied simply. And they think humans did this to them. Fear makes people do terrible things. When they reached the science deck, they found it in chaos. Broken equipment littered the floor. Several bodies, both human and alien, lay in the corridors. Jiwoo's main lab had been ransacked. Tables overturned, microscopes smashed, sample containers broken. No, 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 Jiwoo whispered, searching frantically through the mess. They destroyed everything. Taeho stood guard at the door. Is there anything salvageable? Jiwoo lifted broken pieces of equipment, looking underneath. Finally, she let out a small cry and pulled up a floor panel, her secret hiding place. Inside was her notebook and a small case of samples, untouched. They didn't find these, she said, relief flooding her voice. As they turned to leave, a deep voice stopped them. Human doctor, always hiding things. Draws stood in the doorway behind Taeho. His blue skin was now more gray than blue, flaking off in places. All four of his arms hung limply at his sides. You dying too, Draws, he said, his voice raspy. Just slower. All aliens dying. Only humans safe. He coughed, and gray dust came from his mouth. So humans must die too. Taeho raised his weapon. Stand down, Chief Science Officer. You need medical attention. Draws laughed, a horrible grinding sound. Too late for that. Ship will reach Coalition Station in 6 hours. Then everyone will know what humans did. We didn't do this. Jiwoo cried. It was an accident. And I can fix it if you let me. More human lies, Draws growled, then lunged at Taeho. The security officer fired, but Draws kept coming. They crashed to the floor, grappling. Draws was weaker than normal, but still stronger than a human. Jiwoo looked around desperately, then grabbed a broken metal bar. With all her strength, she swung it at Draws's head. The alien collapsed, stunned but still breathing. We need to go, Jiwoo said, helping Taeho up. Back in Medical Bay 6, Jiwoo worked frantically. Her hands moved quickly between samples, machines, and her notebook. Sweat dripped from her forehead, but she didn't stop to wipe it away. Taeho stood guard by the door, his weapon ready. Every few minutes, they heard shouting or running footsteps in the corridors outside. How much time do we have? Jiwoo asked without looking up from her microscope. Taeho checked his comm unit. 4 hours until we reach Coalition Station. Captain Han reports they've retaken navigation, but engineering is still under rebel control. The engines are locked on full power. Jiwoo nodded grimly. I think I've figured it out. The microorganism bonds with human DNA because our genetic structure has similar markers to its original host on Zenith 6. But with alien DNA, it sees an enemy and attacks. Can you make it stop attacking? Taeho asked. Maybe. Jiwoo carefully mixed chemicals in a small tube. If I can modify the organism to recognize all DNA as friendly, it might repair the damage it's caused instead of continuing to destroy cells. She held up the tube, which now contained a pale blue liquid. This might work as a cure, but I need to test it first. On what? Taeho asked. We don't have any test subjects. Jiwoo was quiet for a moment. Then she said, on me. Taeho's eyes widened. That's too dangerous. You don't know what it will do. I've modified it to bond with all DNA structures, Jiwoo explained. If it works on me without harmful effects, it should work on the aliens too. And if it doesn't work? Taiho asked, his voice tight with worry. Then you'll have to find another scientist to finish my work, Jiwoo said simply. She filled a syringe with the blue liquid. We don't have time to argue. Before Taiho could stop her, Jiwoo injected the modified organism into her arm. For a moment, nothing happened. Then pain shot through her body like fire. She gasped and fell to her knees. Jiwoo. Taiho rushed to her side, catching her before she hit the floor. It burns, she whispered through clenched teeth. My whole body, burning. Taiho lifted her onto a medical bed. What can I do? How can I help? Nothing, Jiwoo managed to say. Just wait. The pain grew worse. Jiwoo's vision blurred, and she felt like her bones were melting. Her muscles spasmed and twisted. She screamed once, then passed out. Taiho watched helplessly as Jiwoo's body shook on the bed. He checked her vital signs on the medical scanner. Her heart rate was dangerously high, her brain activity off the charts. Don't die, he whispered. Please don't die. An hour passed, then another. Jiwoo remained unconscious, but her vital signs slowly returned to normal. Taiho never left her side, even when Captain Han called for updates. We've retaken most of the ship, the captain reported, but we still can't stop the engines. 1 hour until we reach the station. How's the cure coming? Dr. Kim is testing it, Taiho said carefully. I'll update you soon. Just as he ended the call, Jiwoo's eyes fluttered open. Taiho, she said, her voice stronger than before. I'm here, he said, relief washing over him. How do you feel? Jiwoo sat up slowly. Different. Strange. She looked at her hands, turning them over. Everything is sharper, clearer. She stood up, moving with unusual grace. I feel strong. Taiho watched in amazement as Jiwoo walked to a metal supply cabinet. She gripped the edge of a dented door and pulled. The metal straightened easily in her hands. The organism, she said, staring at her hands again. It didn't just bond with my DNA. It improved it, made it stronger, more efficient. You're saying it gave you super strength? Taiho asked, disbelieving. Jiwoo shook her head. Not exactly. It's more like optimization. My muscles, my bones, my brain, everything is working at peak efficiency now. She moved quickly to her samples and began preparing more of the blue liquid. Her movements were precise and faster than humanly possible. This will work, she said confidently. We need to get it into the air circulation system to treat everyone at once. Will it make all humans like you? Taiho asked. No, Jiwoo replied. I used the original organism on myself. This modified version will only repair damage, not enhance. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the ship. Alarms blared again. What now? Jiwoo asked. Taiho checked his comm. His face went pale. Draws. He's awake, and he's reached the auxiliary bridge. He's overridden Captain Han's commands. Time until we reach the station? Jiwoo asked, already filling containers with the cure. 30 minutes, Taiho said grimly. And Draws has locked all the air circulation controls. We can't distribute the cure. Jiwoo looked at the containers in her hands, then at Taiho. Then we'll have to do it personally. Starting with Draws, Jiwoo and Taiho moved swiftly through the ship's corridors. Jiwoo carried a backpack filled with containers of the blue cure. Taiho led the way, his weapon ready. The auxiliary bridge is 2 levels up, Taiho said as they ran. But Draws will have guards. Jiwoo nodded. How many minutes left? 25 until we reach the station, Taiho replied. Captain Han is evacuating as many crew as possible, but the escape pods are limited. They turned a corner and came face to face with 3 Moraxian crew members. The aliens' exoskeletons were cracking, showing the effects of the pathogen. "Stop, humans," one chittered, raising a weapon. Before Taeho could fire, Jiwoo moved. She darted forward with impossible speed, knocking the weapon aside. With 3 quick strikes, she disabled all 3 Moraxians, careful not to hurt them badly. Taeho stared at her. That was efficient, Jiwoo finished. She pulled out a container of blue liquid and a spray device. Quickly, she sprayed the unconscious aliens. This should start healing them. Come on. As they continued upward, they encountered more sick aliens. Some tried to stop them. Others were too weak to fight. Jiwoo treated as many as she could, leaving a trail of confused but slowly healing crew members behind them. "Engineering reports the engines are starting to overheat," Taeho said, checking his comm. "If we don't shut them down soon, we'll have more than just a collision to worry about." Finally, they reached the corridor leading to the auxiliary bridge. 2 large Vraxian guards stood outside the door, their rocky skin almost completely gray now. "I'll distract them," Taeho whispered. "You get past them to Droz." Before Jiwoo could answer, Taeho stepped into the corridor and fired his weapon. The stun blast hit one guard, who stumbled but didn't fall. Both Vraxians charged toward Taeho. Jiwoo darted out, moving faster than the Vraxians could track. She slipped past them as they focused on Taeho, who was backing away, firing steadily. The door to the auxiliary bridge was locked, but Jiwoo's enhanced strength made short work of the control panel. With a spark and a hiss, the door slid open. Inside, Droz hunched over the navigation controls. His once powerful body was now withered, his blue skin almost entirely gray and flaking off. When he turned to face Jiwoo, his eyes burned with hatred. "Human doctor," he rasped. "Too late. 10 minutes until impact." "It doesn't have to end this way," Jiwoo said, holding up a container of blue liquid. "I have a cure. It can heal you. Heal everyone." Droz made a sound like rocks grinding together, his version of laughter. "Convenient. Humans create disease that kills aliens. Then humans create cure. Make themselves heroes. We didn't create it." Jiwoo insisted. "It was an accident. The organism evolved on Zenith 6. We just found it." "Lies," Droz growled. "Always human lies." He lunged at her, moving surprisingly fast for his deteriorated state. But Jiwoo was faster now. She dodged easily, her enhanced reflexes making Droz seem slow. "Look at you," Droz said, noticing her movements. "Changed yourself, made yourself stronger. Proving humans planned this all along." "I used the organism to make a cure," Jiwoo explained, circling him carefully. "My transformation was a side effect." Droz lunged again, and again Jiwoo evaded him. But this time, she tripped over a fallen chair and stumbled. Droz seized the moment and grabbed her with 2 of his arms. "Now who is weak?" he growled, lifting her off the ground. To his surprise, Jiwoo didn't struggle. Instead, she smiled. "I never said humans were strong," she replied calmly. "I said we were smart." Using her free hand, she pressed a spray device against Droz's arm and activated it. Blue mist covered his gray skin. Droz roared and threw her across the room. Jiwoo hit the wall hard but rolled to her feet, unhurt. "What did you do?" Droz demanded, looking at his arm where the blue mist was being absorbed into his skin. "I cured you," Jiwoo said simply. Droz staggered, then fell to his knees. His body shuddered as the modified organism began repairing his damaged cells. "Why?" he asked, his voice weaker. "Why save me? After what I did?" Jiwoo moved to the navigation controls and began entering commands. "Because that's what real strength is, Droz. Not muscle power, not physical size. It's doing the right thing, even when it's hard." She looked back at him. "I always knew that. Now maybe you'll learn it too." Through the viewport, Coalition Station 9 loomed large. 5 minutes until impact. Jiwoo's fingers flew over the controls, faster than human hands should move. Alarms blared as she worked to override Draz's commands. Engines not responding. The computer announced. Collision imminent. Engines not responding. Collision imminent. The computer's calm voice was at odds with the panic Jiwoo felt as her fingers flew across the controls. Coalition Station 9 filled the view screen now, a massive structure housing 10,000 lives. 4 minutes to impact, the computer announced. The door slid open and Taeho rushed in, breathing hard. Guards are down and treated, he reported. He stopped when he saw Draz on the floor. Is he? He'll live, Jiwoo said without looking up from the controls. The cure is working on him, but I can't stop the ship. Draz locked out the engine controls with some kind of code. Taeho moved quickly to another console. Maybe we can reroute power from the engines. Already tried, Jiwoo said. We need. She stopped suddenly, her enhanced mind making connections faster than before. The communication array. If we can send a warning to the station, they can evacuate. Taeho shook his head. Draz damaged it during the takeover. No long-range communications. Then we need to make the ship turn, Jiwoo said, thinking fast. If we can't stop it, we need to change its course. From the floor, Draz spoke, his voice weak but clearer than before. Auxiliary, thrusters, still, operational. Jiwoo and Taeho both stared at him. Why help us now? Taeho asked suspiciously. Draz's rocky face showed pain, but his skin was less gray already. Cure, working. Mind, clear, don't want. Genocide. Jiwoo turned back to the controls. Auxiliary thrusters, of course. Her fingers moved in a blur, accessing systems Draz had left untouched. They're not powerful enough to stop us, but if I time it right. 3 minutes to impact. The computer reminded them. Divert all remaining power to the auxiliary thrusters, Jiwoo ordered. Everything except life support. The lights dimmed as power was redirected. Jiwoo's face glowed blue in the console light as she calculated burn times and angles. Will it work? Taeho asked. It has to, Jiwoo replied. She activated the comm system. All hands, this is Dr. Kim. Brace for sudden course change. She pressed the final command, and the ship shuddered as the auxiliary thrusters fired at full power. The asterisk Celestial Pioneer asterisk groaned like a living thing as its momentum fought against the new force. Through the viewport, they watched as the station began to slide to the right of their view instead of straight ahead. It's working, Taeho exclaimed. Not enough, Jiwoo said tensely. We're still going to clip the edge of the station. 2 minutes to partial impact. The computer updated. We need more power, Jiwoo muttered. Then her eyes widened. The cure. If we can get it into the ventilation system now, it might save enough crew members to help us. Main engineering is still locked down, Taeho reminded her. We can't access the central ventilation controls. Jiwoo thought for a moment, then turned to Draz. The auxiliary bridge has separate air circulation, doesn't it? For emergencies. Draz nodded weakly. Panel. There. He pointed to a small control board near the floor. Jiwoo rushed to it and began connecting her remaining containers of the cure to the system. This will only treat the crew in critical areas, but it's better than nothing. As she worked, Captain Han's voice came over the emergency channel. Dr. Kim, status report. We've diverted course, Jiwoo replied, but we'll still hit part of the station. I'm releasing the cure through available ventilation systems now. Understood, Captain Han said. Engineering reports some crew recovering already. They're trying to regain control of the main engines. Jiwoo finished connecting the cure containers. Blue mist began flowing into the ventilation ducts. 1 minute to partial impact. The computer warned. The thrusters are losing power, Tahoe reported from the main console. We're drifting back toward collision course. Jewu closed her eyes, thinking harder than she ever had before. Her enhanced brain worked through possibilities at incredible speed. The coolant system, she said suddenly. If we vent the engine coolant in a controlled direction, the force could push us further off course. But that could cause the engines to overheat and explode, Tahoe argued. Not if we time it right, Jigu said, moving back to the main controls. We vent the coolant, get the extra push we need, then shut down the engines completely before they reach critical temperature. It was a desperate plan, but they had no choice. Jiwoo's hands moved across the controls, setting up the sequence. 30 seconds to impact. The computer counted down. Now, Jiwoo hit the final command. The ship lurched violently as coolant gases vented into space, creating thrust in the opposite direction. Alarms screamed as the engines began to overheat. Engine temperature critical, the computer warned. Shutdown required. 6 months had passed since the near disaster with the Celestial Pioneer *. Jiwoo stood tall before the Galactic Coalition Council in their grand meeting chamber. Representatives from 50 alien species sat in rising tiers around her, their faces showing a mix of respect, curiosity, and lingering suspicion. Jiwoo looked different now. Her body remained transformed by the original microorganism, stronger, faster, her movements more fluid and precise. Her mind worked at levels no normal human could match. She was still herself, but enhanced in ways that had once seemed impossible. Dr. Kim, said the coalition leader, a tall Moraxian with an ornate exoskeleton, please continue your testimony about the Zenith 6 incident. Jae-woo nodded. After we avoided collision with Coalition Station 9, we distributed the cure throughout the ship. Within hours, all infected crew members began to recover. And the pathogen itself? Asked a Tunali representative. Has it been contained? Yes, Jiwoo replied confidently. All samples have been neutralized except for those kept under the strictest quarantine for research purposes. The outpost on Zenith 6 has been closed permanently. She gestured to a display showing molecular structures. Our investigation revealed that the organism evolved naturally on Zenith 6. It wasn't engineered or created as a weapon. It was simply a case of biological incompatibility that we didn't understand until it was almost too late. A Vraxian counselor leaned forward. Yet you used this organism to enhance yourself. Some might say that was taking advantage of a tragedy. Jae-woo met his gaze steadily. My transformation was an unintended side effect of developing the cure. I injected myself with the original organism as the fastest way to understand how it interacted with human DNA. I didn't know it would permanently change me. She paused. But I don't regret it. My enhanced abilities helped save the ship and everyone on it. And my research since then has helped develop new medical treatments that benefit all species. The chamber was quiet for a moment. Then Captain Han, now promoted to Admiral, stood up from his seat among the human delegation. The facts are clear, he said firmly. Dr. Kim's actions saved thousands of lives. Her research has led to breakthroughs in adaptive medicine that help humans and non-humans alike. She deserves our gratitude, not our suspicion. The council leader nodded. This council agrees. Dr. Kim, the Galactic Coalition officially recognizes your heroism and contributions to interspecies medicine. After the formal proceedings ended, Ji-woo walked through the quiet hallways of the Coalition headquarters. She had expected to feel triumphant, but mostly she felt tired. 6 months of investigations, testimonies, and defending humanity's intentions had worn on her. Dr. Kim. The deep voice made her turn. Draws stood in the corridor behind her. He looked healthy now, his blue skin restored to its rocky texture. All signs of the pathogen were gone. Chief Science Officer Draws. Ji-woo greeted him formally. Not anymore, he said, walking closer. Just researcher Draws now. I stepped down from command position. I heard, Ji-woo said. I also heard you've been speaking in favor of increased human-alien scientific collaboration. Draws nodded. Near death changes perspective. He paused, seeming to struggle with his words. I owe you life. Many owe you life. You helped too, Jiwu reminded him. You told us about the auxiliary thrusters when it mattered most. Small thing, Draws dismissed. Then, unexpectedly, he asked, why you save those who treat you badly, who call you weak, who laugh at you. Jiwu considered her answer carefully. On Earth, there's an old saying. The true measure of someone is how they treat people who can do nothing for them. I didn't save the ship because I wanted praise or recognition. I did it because it was right. She smiled slightly. True strength isn't about physical power or intelligence. It's about having compassion, even for those who show none to you. Draws was quiet for a long moment. Then he extended one of his 4 arms in a formal Vraxian gesture of respect. Humans not weak, he admitted. Different kind of strong. Jiwu accepted the gesture, placing her hand against his rocky palm. We all have different strengths, she said. That's why we're better together than apart. As they walked together toward the reception hall, Jiwu thought about how far they had come. 6 months ago, they had been enemies. Draws had mocked her primitive DNA and human weakness. Now her DNA had changed the course of galactic medicine, and her human compassion had changed Draws himself. Sometimes, Jiwu reflected, the strongest response to mockery wasn't revenge, but proving everyone wrong in ways they never expected.